So, hi, everybody. This is Joe Bailey again on Mind Matters. And boy, has a lot happened since I last spoke to you in September. Um, we did had a wonderful conference, as I said, the Addictions Conference that went way beyond our wildest imagination. And if you missed it, the video will still be available for people if they want to purchase that. But also since then, there's been a lot happening in our world. We've had major hurricanes. We've had an election. We've had the build up to the election. And now the election has passed, but there's still uncertainty on our minds. And that if truth be known, we're always living in uncertainty. We're always living in an unknown. When I woke up this morning, I was all inspired to write a new chapter, which is in part 4 of the book. The book is coming along really well. I've written about 3/4 of it already, kind of the most foundational parts of it. And the last section of the book is going to be on implications of everything I've talked in the first part. And so the first part of it is thriving in the unknown. So that's what I want to talk about today, because I've been just typing away about it all morning and I'm very inspired about it. And as I sat down to write, as I don't have an outline of what I'm going to write, or I don't know what's going to come to me, but it's been fascinating to me as I've been writing this book how little pieces of my history, little stories from my past will just come into my mind that are kind of tailor made for the topic. And the one that came to my mind was almost 40 years ago now. I was fairly new to the three principles. I was doing my fellowship in Florida, in Coral Gables, Florida. And there were about 5 of us involved in the fellowship. And so I was very new to the principles and just trying to understand it for myself. And one of the other people who was attending this program, this conference, was a psychiatrist, Dr. George Ritchie, who's since passed. But he was one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met. Dr. Ritchie was a medic in World War II, and it was his job at the end of World War II. He was in Normandy. He was right in the heat of the battle for the whole thing. But at the end of the war, he was assigned to work in the camps in Auschwitz, particularly. And when he went into the camp, it was, one of the most horrific things that any human being has ever witnessed throughout our history. Just the incredible millions of deaths of Jewish people. But one man stood out in the crowd, and he called him Wild Bill. Wasn't his name. He had a big uh, Wild Bill type mustache. And he looked at him and he was smiling, and his complexion was vibrant. He looked like he had just walked in the camps. And so he came up to me and said, "Wow, you look really good. Everybody else looks like death formed over. What's going on? Did you just get here? Did you just arrive?" He said, "Oh no, I've been here for 5 years." And just stopped George Ritchie in his tracks. And he said, "Whoa, wait a minute. What happened? How can you look so good? How can you feel so good? What happened?" And he said, "Well, it's a long story, but when I was from Poland, in my small little village, we were all Jewish. And when the Nazis came, they lined everyone up in the village except me, because I spoke 5 languages and they could use me. And they mowed down with their machine guns every person I had ever known, every one of my family, my relatives, my friends, the shopkeepers, everyone that I had known my whole life was dead. And my heart filled with so much hatred and so much revenge and vengeance. I was just a I was ready to kill anyone. And he said, and then I had an insight, and I realized that I was no different than they. I had as much hatred, as much prejudice, as much venom in my veins as they did. And I vowed that day that I would live from love. I would live from love. And that was a shift in his consciousness. It tapped him in to a reservoir of feelings: hope, love, creative thinking, humor, joy. And that's the nature of resilience. Resilience is this innate reservoir of hope. So I want to talk about hope, because that's really what we need in this time. The only way we can create a new world out of the rubble of what we've been through with the pandemic and are going through, with the division in our country politically, within families, within communities, with our media. But how do we thrive in that unknown? And that's what this blog is about, really, is it that this feeling of hope, it's not just pollyannishness. It's not just, oh, I feel so hopeful if it would just end. I feel so hopeful if we could just get back to normal. I feel hopeful if we can have a smoother transition to new government. I'll feel hopeful if it doesn't rain today, or if we don't get hit by another hurricane if you're living in Florida. And so that is not hope. That is positive thinking. That's wishful thinking. And that's born of the ego. That's born of fear. That's born of a separated self, separate from who we really are, our true self. So true hope lies inside. It's already there. And when our mind clears of all of the thoughts, of the fears and trying to really, it boils down to, if we could just control the unknown. But we have no control over the unknown, because it doesn't exist. The only thing that exists in this moment is our thinking in this moment and the present moment. And when we reside in that present moment, we're residing in mind, we're residing in our innate health, we're residing in our resilience. And from that feeling of the true self, one of the feelings that's in that is hope, but it's not attached to anything. It's just a feeling of hopefulness with no strings attached. But that's a really powerful thing. It's not just a nice feeling. When you're in a feeling of hope, your mind is open to infinite possibilities that are always there going forward, and you get to create what that is. And when you create from inspiration and insight, you transform your present reality into a more perfect reality, one that's born of truth and of inspiration. So this is how we transform our world. This is how we cope with the unknown. And that's just a taste of the book. So I look forward to, I'm going to be expanding my Facebook page soon, and I will be doing weekly short little video clips about what I'm writing about. And I invite your cooperation in this process. I want to start a dialogue, a conversation with my readers, so that you share with me the stories of how you're dealing with this hurricane of our lives, how you're thriving in that eye at times, and how this understanding is helping you, or your questions. I'm going to be there to answer your questions and for you to help co-author my book with me, with your stories and with your questions and with your insights. So I look forward to talking to you again around the holidays, and you guys have a great month.